batang matatag movement. So clearly, you're concentrating on one area, the barn area, but it seems to be very, it's quite ambitious. 1.8 million children.
Well, first of all, hello everyone, and thank you for having me here in your wonderful country. I really appreciate the invite today. And you're totally right, Karen. It is ambitious, but I think it needs to be. And every journey, as they say, starts with one step. And our goal is to have a multi-year endeavour with our partners, Save the Children, because we want to have a real impact, starting with one. So a resilient child for us is like you saw in the video, one that has access to great education, nutrition, and can fulfill their life, whatever that looks like. And I sincerely hope our partnership can make a difference, one child, one family at a time, and then maybe beyond barn. We might even be more ambitious, but one at a time.
You mentioned multi-year. I mean, I'm sure as a company you've spoken about this, and you have concrete measurements on how you know that the program is succeeding. So are we talking about following a community for 5 years? I mean, how will you measure success?
Truthfully, I would look to our experts to give us the best advice on how to do this sincerely. But my dream and desire is that we could eradicate childhood death from diarrhea in the Philippines. That would be the ultimate success. I don't know if you know, but every day, think today, 13 kids under 5 are going to die today because of diarrhea. And it's completely, totally preventable. And I think together we can be part of the solution, maybe not all of the solution, but that would be the ultimate measure. But I'm sure Albert can talk more details of how we could do it each year, each day. But we want it to be a long-term commitment, Karen, sincerely.
That I can feel that with you. Now, Ursiflora, for members of the media, I mean, I didn't even know that Sanofi made Ursiflora because my kids use it. I have a child in the autism spectrum, which many of you know. So I'm such a believer in taking care of the gut. So I believe there are two brains in the body, that brain and the brain that's often neglected is the gut. So Ursiflora being a probiotic, clearly, and getting into the Batang Matatag campaign. Why is this important for your organization? You're a very big company. There may have been other projects that you could have gotten into.
True. I think it's stepping back to the world we all live in now, this crazy COVID world. I think as a company like ours, we have a duty to lead and encourage people to look after themselves, to self-care, starting with us, me, my team, but also the communities we live in and serve. So I think advocating for self-care is really important. And there was a fabulous study done recently called The Value of Self-Care in the Philippines. And that showed that the biggest thing all of us can do is if we take care of ourselves and only go to the hospital when you really need it, it could make a huge difference to our healthcare system if we look after ourselves. That's where it starts. And our role as a company is to really come up with great products, science-based, that can help you all, and be part of the education drive to help everyone, your mom, me, consumers, make the right choices for their health and build health literacy, as the academics would call it, so that they can make a better choice. So I think at a macro level, I want us to be part of enabling self-care. And for this initiative, for batang matatag, it's dear to my heart, because I used to live in Latin America, and we started a similar initiative there with a different brand called Intergermina. So I'm beyond happy and proud and excited that we can now do this together in the Philippines and have another link in this chain to have an even bigger impact. And I see barn as a community that's been a little forgotten for the last few years. So I hope we can together bring it to the attention of the nation, the world, and get more partners to help us, not just us.
Well, bravo to you. Thank you for that. And I think members of the media who are here, we all know that, yes, while we read about BARM in the news, while all we read about mostly is their fight for autonomy, it's really the needs inside BARM of the most helpless, which are really, they're the poorest of the poor, and the children in BARM, we often take for granted. For example, diarrhea affects children who belong to the poorest of the poor. Just how alarming is diarrhea for a child, for the development of a child?
Thank you so much and good morning to everyone. First of all, we have to remember, as you mentioned earlier, Karen, that diarrhea is the second leading cause of deaths or mortality in the Philippines, and it is under 5 years of age. And it is estimated that yearly around 570,000 die from diarrhea. Now, we know that when a child has diarrhea, it will compromise the absorption of important nutrients which are essential in the development of the brain. So, during the first 5 years of life, that is the window of opportunity to maximize the growth and development of children. And therefore, if that nutrient which is essential to brain development is lacking or are lacking, then that will impact really on the development of this child. And so you end up with a child who is developmentally delayed, have behavioral problems, may not even be able to go to school, to finish the course, and so as you have mentioned, economically, it will impact the country
I
as a
didn't know
whole.
the effects of diarrhea were that severe.
Right.
Because
It is
as a
severe.
mother, my kids have had diarrhea.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought it could kill them. You know what I mean?
Yes, it would kill them. Right. That's why I really commend this project.
Okay. But for the poorest of the poor, why do they die because of diarrhea?
Because of the fact that, number one, if you have diarrhea, there is also a concomitant infection, and at the same time, you end up with electrolyte imbalance, and therefore, especially if the potassium in your body is decreased, it can cause your heart to stop beating. Yes.
And so you also have, so one, we can see that the basic is sanitation. But there's also the information when it comes to parents.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do
Right.
to prevent or stop their child in the midst of a diarrhea.
Yeah, that's why education is also very important.
Okay, now I'd like to go to Attorney Muyo.
Yes, Karen.
Yes, formerly Undersecretary of the Department of Education during the time of the late President Aquino. Right, okay. Why did you join Save the Children? I want to start with that first.
Well, I've been in child rights advocacy, Karen, for more than 20 years. I was formerly with the UP Law Center's Institute of Human Rights, and we worked with UNICEF in order to promote children's rights in the Philippines. And for some reason, they piloted me from UP and brought me over to UNICEF.
Yeah.
And then after that, I joined DepEd, but again, looking at education as a basic right of children. And after retirement, here I am with Save the Children Philippines, carrying on that advocacy.
And you know, Save the Children Philippines has been active in many parts of the country. But with Batang Matatag, what do you hope to achieve? What kind of genuine impact do you hope this will make?
Well, what we want to show is to prove to everyone that it's not enough that you have a policy. We have a law called the First 1,000 Days Law that provides for the health and nutrition of pregnant mothers and children, but we have to bring it down to actual implementation at the community level. And one better place to show this that
So nothing's happening with the law?
well, the law is there, but
It's not funded, walang pera?
wala po.
Oh my
And we
gosh.
hope that local governments parents can get the inspiration from this project, okay, to show that indeed, even with minimal funding, through education of communities and parents, the health and nutrition status of children can really be improved.
Oh, and attorney, I want to be honest with you. You've been in government. I've been a journalist for so long. There is money in the budget, but are we obsessed with infrastructure and we actually forget, what's really important, like nutrition?
Well, that could be, but you see, I mean, we always think that, okay, we can just leave that to the parents.
Yeah.
But with the high incidence of poverty in the country, okay, how can the parents really cope with all of the needs, especially the health and nutrition needs of their children? So really a big push would have to come from governments, especially local governments, who starting this year will now have access to more funding, okay, for social services.
And what kind of partnership is this with Ursa Flora and Save the Children? I mean, I know that there were volunteers upstairs. They were already packing food that will be sent to Barm, and it's the first of many that the company will be sending to Barm. But kumbaga, ang tanong, is this a charity kind of movement, donation ba ito, or it's something more in-depth and immersive?
No, it's not just mere charity, because charity will not work unless you provide for everything. Basically, what we want to do is that we want to empower families and communities to take care of the health and nutrition of children. So this is not just a yoga type of project, but we want to raise consciousness, we want to educate families, we want them to adopt practices that will ensure better health and nutrition for children.
Okay. All right. Before we continue our discussion, and members of the media can raise your questions too, we have a little game here. Dun muna tayo sa board. So I'll start with Dr. Eusebio. Can you please go to the crossword puzzle board? All right? The crossword puzzle board. Okay. You have to look at it and the